All right. All right. All right. What we talking about? All right, but we in here. We are in here. What did we read yesterday, y'all? What did we read? What did we read? Okay. So we're in Leviticus still. I don't know where we left off at though. So let me just go double check. We could have read, I know we read 1 through 5. Did we do 6 through 13 yesterday? What did we do? What did we do? What did we do? Examining sores and bright spots. I think that was yesterday. Yeah. Yep, that was yesterday. So we're reading Leviticus 14 to 21. That's what we're reading. And we have 14 to 21, and then we have 22 to 27. Okay, cool. And then that'll be tomorrow will be the last day of Leviticus. So that'll be smooth. And we're reading till 21. All right. So we're going to say a prayer and then we're going to get into our word. Okay. Dear Lord, thank you for another day. Thank you for this opportunity to read your word, Lord. I thank you for relationships and just people who can push you to be better and like just communities, Father. And I'm praying for whoever that does not have a community that you provide them a Christian community so that they can be pushed closer to you and held accountable and have just partners that will walk through life with them. In your name I pray. Amen. All right, Leviticus 14. This is titled The Law of the Leper. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, This shall be the law of the leper for the day of his cleansing. He shall be brought to the priest, and the priest shall go out of the camp, and the priest shall examine him. And indeed, if the leprosy is healed in the leper, then the priest shall command him to take for him who whoa wait time I already have a note. The let like uh, imagine being identified with your disease. This is the law of the leper. Imagine being identified as your disease or the disease that you have. Anyway, sorry, he shall be brought to the priest, and the priest shall go out of the camp, and the priest shall examine him. And indeed, if the leprosy is healed on the leper, then the priest shall command to him for him who is to be cleansed 2 living and clean birds, cedar wood, scarlet, and hyssop, or hyssop, I think it's hyssop. And the priest shall command that one of the birds to be killed in the earthen vessel over running water. As for the living bird, he shall take it, the cedar wood, and the scarlet, and the hyssop, and dip them and the living bird in the blood of the bird that was killed over the running water. Then he shall sprinkle it 7 times on him who is to be cleansed from leprosy, and shall pronounce him clean, and shall let the living bird loose in the open field. He who is to be cleansed shall wash his clothes, shave off all his hair, and wash himself in water that he may be clean. After that, he shall come up into the camp and shall stay outside of his tent 7 days. But on the 7th day, he shall shave all his hair off his head and the beard and his eyebrows. All his hair he shall shave off. He shall wash his clothes and wash his body in water, and then he shall be clean. Well, we started early. Oh my goodness. And on the 8th day he shall take 2 male lambs without blemish, an ewe lamb in the first year without blemish, 3/10 of an ephah of flour mixed with oil as a grain offering, and 1 log of oil. Then the priest who makes him clean shall present the man who is to be made clean and those things before the Lord at the door of the tabernacle of meeting. And the priest shall take 1 male lamb and offer it as a trespass offering, and the log of oil, and wave them as a wave offering before the Lord. Then he shall kill the lamb in the place where he kills the sin offering and the burnt offering in a holy place. For as for the sin offering is the priest, so the trespass offering it is most holy. The priest shall take some of the blood of the priest shall take sorry, the priest shall take some of the blood of the trespass offering. The priest shall put on the tip of his right ear who is to be cleansed, and on the thumb of the right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. And the priest shall take some of the log of oil and pour it into the palm of his own left hand. Then the priest shall dip his right finger into the oil that is in his left hand, and shall sprinkle some of the oil with his finger 7 times before the Lord. Oh Lord, this is early. And the rest of the oil in his hand, and the priest shall put some on the tip of his right ear of him who is to be cleansed, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot, on the blood of the trespass offering. The rest of the oil that is in the priest's hand he shall put on the head of him to be cleansed. So the priest shall make atonement for him before the Lord. Then the priest shall offer the sin offering and make atonement for him who is to be cleansed from his uncleanliness. Afterwards he shall kill the burnt offering, and the priest shall offer the burnt offering and a grain offering on the altar. So the priest shall make atonement for him, and he shall be clean. A poor leper's sacrifices. So not only is you a leper, but we're a poor leper. Let's putting this on whatever that thing is called. Whatever that thing is called, silent. But if he is poor and cannot afford it, then he shall take one lamb as a trespass offering to be weighed to make atonement for him, 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil as a grain offering, a log of oil, and 2 turtle doves and 2 young pigeons, such as he is able to afford. One shall be a sin offering, and the other a burnt offering. He shall bring them to the priest on the 8th day for his cleansing, to the door of the tabernacle of meeting before the Lord. And the priest shall take the lamb of the trespass offering and the log of oil, and the priest shall wave them as a wave offering before the Lord. Then he shall kill the lamb of the trespass offering, and the priest shall take some of the blood of the trespass offering and put on the tip of his right ear, who is to be cleansed, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. And the priest shall pour some of the oil into the palm of his own hand. Then the priest shall sprinkle with his right finger some oil that is in his left hand 7 times before the Lord. And the priest shall put some of the oil that is in his hand on the tip of the right ear of him to be cleansed, on the thumb of the right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot, on the place of the blood of the trespass offering. Then the rest of the oil that is in the priest's hand he shall put on the head of him who is to be cleansed, to make atonement for him before the Lord. And he shall offer one of the turtle doves or young pigeons as he can afford, such as he is able to afford, with the one as a sin offering, the other as a burnt offering with the grain offering. So the priest shall make atonement for him who is to be cleansed before the Lord. This is the law for one who has leprous sore and who cannot afford the usual cleansing. So we're seeing, oh wow. There's no way we're starting this early. Lord, please help me. I just started. Lord, please help me. So we're starting to see, I'm not going to say like exceptions, but we are seeing some like grace when it comes to who can like at least afford these offerings. So that's good. Leprous houses in Canaan. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, when you have come into the land of Canaan, which I give you as a possession, and I put the leprous plague in a house in the land of your possession, and he who owns a house comes and tell the priest, saying, it seems to me that there is some plague in the house, then the priest shall command that they empty the house before the priest goes in to examine the plague. After all that is in the house may not be made unclean, and afterward the priest shall go in and examine the house, and he shall examine the plague. And indeed, if the plague is on the walls of the house within grain streaks, greenish or reddish, which appear to be deep in the wall, then the priest shall go out of the house to the door of the house and shut the house for 7 days. And the priest shall come again on the 7th day and look. And indeed, if the plague has spread on the walls of the house, then the priest shall command that they take away the stones, and which is a plague, and they should cast them into an unclean place outside the city. And he shall cause the house to be scraped inside all around, and the dust they scrape off shall be poured into an unclean place outside of the city. Then they shall take some other stones and put them in the place of these stones, and he shall take the other mortar and plaster the house, examining houses for the signs of leprosy. Now, if the plague comes back and breaks out in the house, after he has taken away the stones, after he has scraped the house, and after it is plastered, then the priest shall come and look. And indeed, if the plague has spread into the house, it is an active leprosy in the house. It is unclean. And he shall break down the house, its stones, its timber, and the plaster of the house, and he shall carry them outside of the city to an unclean place. Moreover, if he goes into the house at all while it is shut up, Moreover, if he goes into the house at all while it is shut up, shall be unclean until evening. And he who lies down in the house shall wash his clothes, and he who eats in the house shall and he who eats in the house shall wash his clothes. But if the priest comes in and examines it, and indeed the plague has not spread in the house after the house was plastered, then the priest shall pronounce the house clean, because the plague is healed. And he shall take to cleanse the house 2 birds, cedar wood, scarlet hyssop. Then he shall kill 1 bird in the earthen vessel over running water. And he shall take the cedar wood. Oh wow! He shall take the cedar wood, the hyssop, and the scarlet, and the living bird, dip them in the blood of the slain bird, and in the running water, and sprinkle the house 7 times. And he shall cleanse the house with blood of the bird and the running water, the living bird with cedar wood, the hyssop, and the scarlet. Then he shall let the living bird loose outside the city in the open field to make atonement for the house, and it shall be clean. This is the law for any leprous, sore, and scale, for the leprosy of a garment and of a house, for a swelling and scab and a bright spot, to teach when it is unclean and when it is clean. This is the law of leprosy. Wow, eating me up right now. Wow. Chapter 15, bodily discharges. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, When any man has a discharge from his body, his discharge is unclean, and this shall be his uncleanliness in regard of his discharge, whether his body runs with his discharge, or if his body is stopped up by his discharge, it is his uncleanliness. For every bed is unclean on which he who has a discharge lies, and everything on which he sits shall be unclean. I'm struggling. Why? Why? Why am I struggling? Okay, every bed is unclean to them. Shall wash it. Okay. Whoever touches his bed shall wash his clothes and bathe in water and be unclean until evening. He who sits on anything on which he who has a discharge sat shall wash his clothes and bathe in water and be unclean until evening. And he who touches the body of him who had discharge shall wash his clothes and bathe in water and be unclean until evening. And who has discharge spits on him, and if he who has a discharge spits on him who is clean, then he shall wash his clothes and bathe in water and be unclean until evening. Any saddle on which he who has a discharge ridden is unclean. Whoever whoa, that's not it. Whoever touches anything that was under him shall be unclean until evening. He who carries any of those things shall wash his clothes and bathe in water and be unclean until evening. And whomever the one who has a discharge touches and has not rinsed his hands in water, he shall wash his clothes and bathe in water and be unclean until evening. The vessel of earth that he who has a discharge touches shall be broken, and every vessel of wood shall be rinsed in water. Wow. So if you're unclean, everything you do is unclean. Kind of like us, when we're all sinful, we're all unclean. So everything that we do and touch, interact with, is also sinful, or could be sinful. Cleansing after a discharge. Oh. Sorry. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. And when he who has a discharge is cleansed of his discharge, then he shall count for himself 7 days for his cleansing, wash his clothes, and bathe his body in running water. Then he shall be clean. On the 8th day he shall take for himself 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, and come before the Lord to the door of the tabernacle of meeting, and give them to a priest. And the priest shall offer them, one as a sin offering and one as a burnt offering. So the priest shall make atonement for him before the Lord because of his discharge. If any man has an emission of semen, then he shall wash all of his body in water and be unclean until evening. And any garment and any leather in which there was semen shall be washed with water and unclean until evening. Also, when a woman lies with a man and there's an emission of semen, they shall bathe in water and be unclean until evening. Female discharges. If a woman has a discharge and the discharge from her body's blood, she shall be set apart for 7 days. And whoever touches her shall be unclean until evening. Everything that she lies on during her impurity shall be unclean. Also, everything that she sits on shall be unclean. Whoever touches her bed shall wash his clothes and bathe in water and be unclean until evening. And whoever touches anything that she sat on shall wash his clothes and bathe in water and be unclean until evening. If anything is on her bed or anything on which she sits, when he touches it, he shall be unclean until evening. And if any man lies with her at all, so that her impurity is not on him, he shall be unclean 7 days, and every bed on which she lies shall be unclean. If a woman has a discharge of blood for many days, other than the time of her customary impurity, or if it runs beyond her usual time of impurity, all the days of her unclean discharge shall be as the days of her customary impurity. She shall be clean. She shall be unclean. Every bed on which she lies in the days of her discharge shall be to her as in the bed of her impurity, and whatever she sits on shall be unclean as the uncleanliness of her impurity. Whoever touches those things shall be unclean. He shall wash his clothes and bathe in water and be unclean until evening. But if she is cleansed off of her discharge, then she shall count for herself 7 days, and after that she shall be clean. And on the 8th day she shall take for herself 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, and bring them to the priest to the door of the tabernacle of meeting. Then the priest shall offer it as a sin offering, and the other as a burnt offering, and the priest shall make atonement for her before the Lord. Well, for the discharge of her uncleanness. Thus you shall separate the children of Israel from their uncleanliness, lest they die in their uncleanliness when they defile my tabernacle that is among them. This is the law for one who has discharged, and for him who emits semen and is unclean here thereby, and for her who is imposed because of her customary impurity, and for one who has discharged, whether man or woman, for him who lies with her is unclean. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how I'm gonna make it to chapter 21, but we gotta get there. Day of Atonement. Now the Lord spoke with Moses after the death of the 2 sons of Aaron, when they offered profane fire before the Lord and died. The Lord said to Moses, "Tell Aaron your brother not to come at just any time to the holy place inside the veil, but before the mercy seat which is on the ark, lest he die. For I will appear in a cloud above the mercy seat. Thus Aaron shall whoa. I'm gonna break this up in half. Thus Aaron shall come into the holy place with the blood of a young bull as a sin offering, and of a ram as a burnt offering. He shall put the holy linen tunic and the linen trousers on his body, and he shall be girded with the linen sash, and with the linen turban he shall be attired. These are holy garments. Therefore he shall wash his body in water and put them on. Then he shall take from the congregation of the children of Israel 2 kids of goats as a sin offering, and 1 ram as a burnt offering. Aaron shall offer the bull as a sin offering, which is for himself, and make atonement for himself and for his house. He shall take 2 goats and present them before the Lord at the door of the tabernacle of meeting. Then Aaron shall cast lots for the 2 goats. One lot for the Lord and the other for the scapegoat. And Aaron shall bring the goat on which the Lord's lot fell, and offer it as a sin offering. But the goat on which the lot fell shall be the scapegoat, shall be presented alive before the Lord, to make atonement upon it, and to let it go as a scapegoat into the wilderness. And Aaron shall bring a bull of sin offering, which is for himself, and make atonement for himself and for his house, and shall kill the bull as a sin offering, which is for himself. Then he shall take a censer full of burning coals of fire from the altar before the Lord, with his hands full of sweet incense, beaten fine and brought into the side, and bring it inside the veil. And he shall put the incense on a fire before the Lord, that the cloud of incense may cover the mercy seat that is on the testimony, lest he die. He shall take some of the blood of the bull and sprinkle it with the finger of the mercy seat on the east side. And before the mercy seat he shall sprinkle some of the blood with his finger 7 times. Then he shall kill the goat of the sin offering, which is for the people, bring its blood inside the veil, and do with that the blood as he did with the blood of the bull. And sprinkle it on the mercy seat and before the mercy seat. So he shall make atonement for the holy place because of the uncleanness of the children of Israel, and because of their transgressions, for all their sins. So he shall do for the tabernacle of meeting, which remains among them in the midst of their uncleanness. There shall be no man in the tabernacle of meeting when he goes in to make atonement for the holy place until he comes out. for that he may make atonement for himself, for his household, and all the assembly of Israel. He shall go to the altar that is before the Lord and make atonement for it, and shall shake some of the blood from the bull and the bull of the goat, and put on the horns and the altar all around. Then he shall sprinkle some of the blood on it with his finger 7 times, and cleanse it, and consecrate it from the uncleanness of the children of Israel. Then And when he has made up the end of the atonement for the holy place, the tabernacle of meeting, and the altar, he shall bring the live goat, and shall lay both his hands on the head of the live goat, and confess over it the iniquities of the children of Israel, and all their transgressions concerning all their sins, putting them in the head of the goat, and shall send it away into the wilderness by the hand of the suitable man. The goat shall bear in itself their iniquities, and to an inhabited land, and shall release the goat into the wilderness. Then Aaron shall come into the tabernacle of meeting, and shall take off linen garments which he put on when he went to the holy place, and shall leave them there. And he shall wash his body with water in the holy place, and put on his garments, come out and offer his burnt offering. Oh, Jesus, Lord, and the burnt offering of the people, to make atonement for himself and the people. The fat of the sin offering shall burn on the altar, and he will release the goat as a scapegoat, shall wash his clothes and bathe his body in the water, and afterward he shall come into the camp. The bull for the sin offering and the goat for the sin offering, whose blood was brought into the atonement into the holy place, shall be carried outside the camp, and they shall burn in the fire their skins, their flesh, and their offal. Then he who burns them shall wash his clothes and bathe his body in water, and afterwards he may come into the camp. An annual observance. This shall be your statute forever for you. In the 7th month, on the 10th day of the month, you shall afflict your souls to do no work, whether a native of your own country or a stranger dwells among you. For that day, the priest shall make atonement for you to cleanse you. Help me, Lord, to cleanse you, and that you may be clean from all your sins before the Lord. It is Sabbath of solemn rest for you, and you shall afflict your souls. It is a statute forever, and the priest who is anointed and consecrated to minister as priest in this father's place shall make atonement and put on the linen clothes, the holy garments. Then he shall make atonement for the holy sanctuary, and he shall make atonement for the tabernacle of meeting and for the altar, and he shall make atonement for the priests and all the people of their assembly. This shall be everlasting statute forever, to make atonement for the children of Israel for all their sins once a year. And he did as the Lord commanded Moses. So this is what I'm going to do. 17. So, I'm obviously tired, and I'm not really giving energy, and I'm not really locked in. And when I sat down, I didn't think I was that tired, but we started off early. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this live now, and I might try to take a nap, and then I might try to come back and do part 2 later tonight. But if I don't do part 2, I'll just finish it up tomorrow, because this is ridiculous, and I want to actually learn and not just read through it. So I'm going to say peace out right now, and hopefully I'll be able to get it together and come back and read this. See ya.